Hello everybody, welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division in the Touchdown Tournament. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. And before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also visit golfclashtommy.com for more Golf Clash related content. Last but not least, check out patreon.com/golfclashtommy. There you have text guide for all the tours, but also for tournaments. So you can crush the game together with myself. Subscribe today and get them today. So, in this playthrough you will see multiply options because I've been going through my library of videos trying to give you two approaches with the same hole with different type of wind. This two obviously give you an idea on what we can see in the tournament. So in the end, we don't know what we're going to have as wind in the tournament, but I hope this is going to help. Make sure that you comment in the comment section below if you do have any questions, and also hit the thumbs up. Info box on the right side, you will see the elevation for the drive or the first shot on top. Then beneath that you will see the elevation for the second shot if there is a second shot. Also, you will see what type of ball I would suggest. You don't need to play with that type of ball, but it's a suggestion. Then, last but not least, you do have the clubs that I think is going to be key clubs to achieve the best possible result on that specific course. And, you know, in the end, you choose whatever club you want to play with, but you can definitely take a shot or two off your scorecard if you pick the correct bag. So, let's go to hole number one. Let's go to hole number one, and here you're going to see a version where we're going to play with a tailwind. And here it is very important to play with a club that gives you at least 4.5 bars backspin if it is a tailwind, because now we're just going to bounce over the bunker trying to land this ball on green. You can obviously push this one harder and try to go for the pin and for the hole-in-one, but that all down to how comfortable you feel with the adjustment. Maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment. Once in the end I do push up the appropriate amount of rings, that with that meaning it's like I stretch out so I can see the second bounce being above the bunker. And then if that is showing that it's going to be one ring extra that I need, I push up one ring in the end. Let me know in the comment if you got what I'm talking about. In the end though, you can play with a Kingmaker Titan. You play power 4 ball, power 5 ball as well to make it more simplified for you. A one shot as well that could be good. It's actually with a quarterback and a power 5 ball to give yourself this and multiply options. And obviously with a headwind, you're gonna play it slightly different with less backspin. In the end, this is a must ego. You're gonna see one with headwind, and then you're gonna see one with tailwind. First, we're gonna start by using 3 bars of topspin in headwind, and now we're going to offset a little bit this because this bounce is super duper weird. Extremely weird. So now when we're going to make an adjustment, we're going to play this one with a maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment here. And the reason we do that is because of the headwind. So we're going to adjust this one, as you can see, 8.5 rings here. So we're going to adjust with 3 top spin, 2 right spin. So we're basically making the ball be pushed to the right now once it hits the rough. So, and you can see here that this ball is going to come in very nicely, and we just missed there on the right hand side. In the end, the rough bump is definitely going to be the best way to play, and that is something that we will notice once again here when playing in tailwind. And we're going to still go for the rough bump. One thing to have in mind with rough bumping in tailwind though is the fact that once you adjust backwards, you're going to go from a lower point to a higher point, and therefore you're going to gain this. You're going to notice that where I'm having my first bounce, even though I'm using 2 rings in distance from the rough line. You're gonna see the 2 bars top spin, 3 left spin, ball guideline to the whole red ring by the rough line. Once adjusting here now, you can see here we're adjusting from medium distance with a 10% over adjustment. We adjust from a lower point to a slight higher point, and look at the bounce now. Look how close we are to the rough line. That is because we're getting the extra distance. Sure, we come in hot, we get the hole-in-one, but really pay attention to that if you do have tailwind. let's go to the drive of hole number 3. And we're gonna start with the quarterback. And yes, the quarterback with a katana ball. I would say katana ball would be the best choice, even though I changed to a quasar, but I would rather have a katana ball to play with it in crosswind and tailwind. Max side spin to the right, and then we're going to go with 3 to 5 bars of topspin, depending on how many topspin bars you have on your driver. Adjust, then you push up, and then we're going to go with curl. And here I'm using approximately 75% of the ball outside the adjustment ring to the right. And here we do have a very valuable thing by playing with a katana instead of a quasar. 1, you do not have to push up anything after your adjustment. 2, you can use less curl. And also 3, we have a better distance for the second shot. Now the green is extremely bright, which is very hard to get the ball guideline in the same way all the time. But we're gonna do our best. No elevation for the second shot whatsoever, and I'm always going to use 2 to 5 bars of side spin to the left, and then using somewhere between 2 to 4 bars of backspin. Reason I'm giving you a general instruction with the spin and not like a firm amount of spin, it's because it's all wind dependent. Like if we do have a headwind, we're going to use a different spin than we're going to have in crosswind or in tailwind. The important part is, so let the ball guideline go to the hole and then adjust from there. Taking the shot, and the ball is going towards the pin here, and in the end this is a very good chance for an albatross, which we get in this scenario, and we will see a lot of people getting that in the tournament, I do believe. So let's start with a tailwind shot here. Now when we do have tailwind, we are going to go for green. And going for green, we don't have to have an Apocalypse level 5+. We can actually play with an extra mile, even though it would obviously be easier playing with an Apocalypse. So we're going to use a max side spin to the right, and we're also going to use 1 bar of backspin. And the plan here now is to bounce on the fairway into the rough by the green and then roll out to the green. So we're going to adjust for a maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. Once we have done that, we are, if we adjust out from overpower, we are going to push it up to max, and then we're going to go approximately 1.5 ball of curl to the right, and then go max overpower. And you can apply the same type of shot here with an Apocalypse instead, if that is going to be the club that you're going to play with. So there you see, we are in the green, but there is obviously a risk with that due to, you know, if you're using too much curl, you can curl it into the water after your first bounce, or you can miss your target completely. There is always a risk with a shot like that. Obviously there will for sure be a hook or a slice if the wind allows to as well. But let's take a look if we do have a headwind. Now we're going to use a driver with 4.5 topspin plus, half of the blue ring into the rough if you play with an extra mile. But the most important part, let the second bounce to show that you're going to be at the top of the rough. You can see where we're gonna bounce now. We do want that second bounce to be shown, like the bounce is gonna be higher up than that. Now we are a bit lucky to not get stuck in the rough, but on the top there of that rough, then we're going to be happy. That will leave us up with a short arrow towards the pin, either with a thorn or a hornet for that matter. And then in the end, it's easier in my book to adjust with side spin, so the ball guideline is aligned with the wind, and therefore you have a little bit more room for error. But in the end, it's a short and simple short arrow approach, which is going to be a very good chance for us to make an eagle. No elevation for the second shot. So in the end, everybody, you have seen 2 type of approaches here, 1 tailwind and 1 in headwind. Hopefully it will help you out. So let's go with the first alternative, and that is with tailwind. And I'm going to show you 2 ways, 1 in tailwind and 1 when we're gonna have crosswind or headwind. First, we're going to play with a sniper, and I would prefer to play with a power 3 ball Kingmaker, this to get the distance but also then to reduce the wind. I think the Kingmaker is a perfect ball for this type of approach. We go to max distance with the blue ring by the rough line, using 4.5 bar backspin to 5 bars of backspin, and then as much side spin to the right possible. Adjusting for maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment, and then we're gonna go with no curl. Great left here, but great left is actually a bit lucky for us. And in the end, with a perfect, this would have been either in or miss on the right hand side. But in the end, with a tailwind, we don't need to go with any curl, and it's a very nice approach. So, second alternative is when we do have a little crosswind and headwind. And here I would prefer to go with the sniper as the wood club this to find the cutoff line for minimum distance. And also playing with the quarterback here gives you a possibility to use a really good ball guideline, but you do need to have a decent amount of backspin. And so if you don't have a quarterback in at least level 8 with a shot like this, I would prefer for you to play with the rocket instead, because the rocket, even though that's a club that we never use otherwise, but it could suit the purpose here as it do have a lot of backspin. Then we need to be dialing that one in a little bit better, obviously, but the same type of approach, 20% over adjustment, but with a minimum distance adjustment instead, and we're using max side speed to the right always. And I would still prefer to use a katana over a quasar, this to stay away from having to use any curl whatsoever. Let's go with the drive for hole number 6. And we're going to have a crosswind, and when we do have a crosswind, we're just going to play it safe. We're going to use as much topspin as possible with a maximum of 5 bars. Then we're going to use as much side spin to the left as possible, because we want to kick ourselves in as far to the left as possible to have an open line towards the pin. With a quarterback here, I use the white ring by the rough, and a quarterback is totally fine to play with because you don't really need distance for this drive, which makes this drive much more easy. 10% over adjusted, and then we just take a normal shot. And a normal shot, I mean no curl, no overpower, no underpower, just, you know, a regular shot. Bounce on the fairway, and then we're going to roll. You see we have a way open fairway, so you have the possibility to hit great left or hit great right. Very important to note down the yardage, because in the end, playing with yardage notes here, it's going to be very valuable, as you then can dial it in better from distance. Second shot, I'm trying to use somewhere between no backspin to 1 to, like, not 2-1, but 0 to 2 bars of backspin. Ball guideline to the hole. If you do have a little tailwind, leave it a little bit short, because otherwise you will come in too hot. Sniper is absolutely perfect here, as you do not need the distance here either. And as you can see, it's 2 straight shots. Once again, yardage note super valuable. Adjust it, take your shot, don't use any elevation, and you're gonna see yourself being very close, or it's gonna be it. If you do have a tailwind in this course, you can push the drive way harder, bounce over the water there as a start, leave yourself up for a long iron or a short iron, and obviously we're going to explore that possibility if that is going to be the wind that we are getting. But with a crosswind and a headwind, this is the way we're going to play. Let's go with the drive. I'm going to take the left hand side in almost every type of wind. We're gonna get back to that in a bit. 6 bars of topspin, or use as much topspin as you possible can. So it doesn't have to be 6, it can be 7, it can be 8, it can be 4. Use that together with as much side spin to the right as possible to just keep yourself on the right hand side so you do not roll down into the sand. Maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, and we're then gonna bounce on the fairway nicely, and we're going to get a nice little roll here on the fairway, leaving ourselves up for a short iron approach towards the pin. The most important part with the second shot here is to try to use the fringe as a first bounce spot. I normally say never use the fringe, but the reason I say use the fringe here is that it's so bumpy otherwise. There isn't really a spot on the green, there isn't really a spot on the fairway before either, which makes the fringe actually be the more consistent way. 10% over adjustment, and the distance of your club depends on the distance of your drive. So adjust for the 10%, use the Thorn, use the Hornet, the short iron you feel most comfortable with. If you make a very bad drive, then I would suggest you to pick a a long iron that feel comfortable with, because then that is the club that you're gonna play with. So let's go! Yes, we're going to play with the sniper here, and we're going to play from the fairway island. Sure, there is a rough bump, but I do feel that the rough bump gives you a very bad consistency. In this type of wind, I'm using the red ring by the rough line, and that is what I'm trying to do, to use the front end of the fairway here to give myself a more flat bounce and have an easier time to control my ball. Maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, and as you can see, I'm not using any spin here whatsoever. And the ball here in the end is coming in a little bit too hot, which tells us we're gonna use just a smidge of backspin. We get the camera angle though, and you can see we're getting here, but we get a bit unlucky and just lip out. And in the end, you can play with a navigator ball as well. The important part here though is to use a ball with wind resistance. A side spin is not that much needed, so a side spin one ball, but with a good wind resistance will be very valuable. Sniper is going to be the club, and as you say in the info box, once again, 10% over adjustment. So, let's go. The drive here, sure, we can play with a power 3 ball, but I would strongly suggest that even if we do have a tailwind, use a power 5 ball like a berserker to give yourself the distance so you don't have to push the drive that super duper hard. Because with a power 3 ball, even in a tailwind, you need to go full blast overpower to reach over the water in a good way. Now we're having like a crosswind tailwind, then the berserker ball is even more valuable. And we're going to win. You know, you can always watch the golden shot guide and claim a couple of easy berserker balls. Adjust maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. Once you've done that, you push up your target into max. And then we're going to apply overpower. It all depends on the wind. A flat crosswind, max overpower. If you do have tailwind, crosswind, 50% overpower. If you do have a straight tailwind, then you can even go a little bit less. The only plan is to get over the water. Once getting over to the water there, we're going to see ourselves having either a rough bump or we're going to just bounce on the fairway. A rough bump for those that feel that, you know, you're a rough bump guy, that's what you're gonna do. But I would say like this, you aren't really gaining that much from doing the rough bump here, to be honest, because it is a little bit glitchy, as there is two rough parts there that is going to make it even harder. So I would actually suggest, especially with this type of wind, try to bounce on the fairway, use side spin to the left then, and then the wind will do the rest. No elevation whatsoever on this shot, and as you can see here now, I'm going for the rough bump, but as you can see as well, I'm not really close to the pin either, and obviously that needs more dial-in time. The ball bounces in the rough and it rolls out, and we're gonna miss to the right. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division for the Touchdown Tournament. Make sure that you do comment in the comment section below what you have as questions, or maybe you have some suggestions yourself on how to approach some of these holes. I do strongly believe we're going to see an easier tournament this time than we had the last time, where we do have some simple holes. But I hope this playthrough will at least help you in the start. But there will be new playthroughs once tournament comes out. Guides on patreon.com/golfclashtommy, and all the links in the description down below. Much love to you all. Thank you so much. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck.